Okay, so I'm back in Bridge and now we're going to tackle some black and white. There is not much anything new in Photoshop CS6 as regards to black and white, but I couldn't do a little quick start on Photoshop without giving you some two black and white examples. But I'm going to open this. I'm opening this photo in Photoshop CX6 Camera 07, and let's do some retouching, because I think using the new Camera 07 before doing the black and white is a very good idea, because you've got this special new Photoshop CS6 Camera 07 look to it. So let's open up the shadows. Let's bring down the highlights. I love that. It makes the whole photo balanced. I think clarity works well with this photo and with black and white. And now the black and white, I could do it within Camera 07, but I'm going to do it in Photoshop. So I'm going to do the whites first, as usual. Find a white point. So it's going to brighten up the whole photo. I'm going to do a little black. Okay, and I'm going to boost the contrast. A very contrasty photo I think is important for black and white. And basically that's that. So I'm going to open up the image in Photoshop CS6, and then we're going to tackle still a couple of new options, like the new crop tool and the new patch tool. So let's convert this to black and white first. So I'm going to add black and white settings here, black and white. Now, in case you don't know, this is the settings of the black and white, and the way it works is basically you've got like different colors: reds, yellow, greens, cyan, blues, and magenta. So let's say that I know there's greens in the trees, for example. If I go to the left, it's going to make the greens, anything that which is green, a darker, look at this, a darker gray. And if I go to the right, it's going to make a lighter gray. So I think I'm going to go to the right. Now, one little advice: when you do black and white, you see here, imagine that there is like a band here. Don't go out of this band, meaning the sliders, they have to stay here a bit in the middle. If you go too far, for example, on the blues, this is a sky. Let me zoom in so you can see better. I know this is blue. So if I want to darken the blues, that's fine. But let's say I go the whole way to 100%. See how it gets all kind of like noisy and dirty and muddy here? So to avoid that, just make sure you stay in the band, zoom in on the color, something like this. Zoom back out, but the safe mode is to stay here, something like that, because I'm gonna do even more contrast. So, okay, so that's that. So now I've converted to black and white. Well, let me see if there's a bit of red. Yeah, there's just red on the car, so maybe let's raise that. Yellows, there's a lot of yellows on the trees. I want to brighten the trees. And this is the sky also, so I'm going to darken the sky, brighten up the trees. Is there any magenta in the photo? Not much. So I'm going to, if you don't have anything in the photo, just leave it in the middle so you don't get this muddy effect. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little cropping with the new crop tool, making sure that the delete crop new option is at, is unchecked. I can, even on the crop tool, I can use grids. I can use diagonal. It's different, like different lines that helps you crop the image. You can also use the golden ratio, which could be good for this photo, or I think we have also the golden spiral. The golden spiral, to put something very much interesting in this spot. For this one, I'm gonna go for the golden ratio. And I'm going to make sure that the Arc de Triomphe is within this first rule of third here. This golden ratio, it doesn't make like equal rules of third, but something like this. So I just press enter, and now I have cropped my photo. I can zoom into it so it's a bit bigger. But I like the idea of the Arc de Triomphe to be at the bottom of the photo. Now I'm going to duplicate the layer, the bottom layer, and use the new patch tool to clean up the bus here. For example, let me zoom in even more. So I'm gonna start off with the pen tool I just showed you before. I take the pen tool and make a selection for example, around this. Okay, I press Command Enter. Now I click on the pen tool and I'm gonna move this down a little bit, and it should erase it. Pretty much good. Now I can take this. This is the bus sign. I think it's too big and too visible. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna make it here. Okay, now the shadows, I'm gonna take out also this shadows, make it here, for example. Okay, this sign here, I'm gonna take out. I love this new patch tool. It, you know, sometimes you still have to correct a bit with the stem tool, but I think it does a great job. Here's another big bus sign. I'm gonna just take it, oops, move it a bit up. Okay, just clean up a bit the photo with the new patch tool. This new patch tool is good for cleaning up like heavy stuff, you know, big stuff, which is what I've been doing. Alright, and okay, so let me zoom back out. So before, after, it's a bit cleaner. Okay, now one little trick when you do black and white, which I think works well, is and this is what I call, you know, the dodge and burn, like we did in Camera Raw 7, but to do it in Photoshop, because we've done the conversion. Now we cannot go back to Camera Raw because we have finished developing our RAW file. And the way I do the dodge and burn within Photoshop is I click on, I create a new layer that I call, that I put in overlay mode, that I call dodge and burn. So it's in overlay mode, and the way the overlay mode works is that you take a brush, which you put around 20%, okay, and now I can use this option to, you know, Alt and Control to make it bigger. And now anything that I'm gonna paint, which is gonna be white, is gonna brighten that part of the photo, and anything that I paint, which is gonna be black, is gonna darken that part of the photo. But it's important to be maximum at opacity of 20%. Actually, it's safer to start off at 10%. So now let me take white. So I repeat, the color is white, the opacity is 11%, and this is a brush. And I'm just going to add a bit of white here on the clouds. And basically what I'm doing is that I'm doing a local contrast. I'm going to brighten up a bit the Arc de Triomphe, brighten up a bit some of the trees, okay? And, you know, just by little touches here and there, takes a bit of time. You know, it seems like nothing's happening, but you will see the before and after. Okay, that's the look before the white, after the white. See how I brighten up certain part of the photo? Now, usually what I do is I do two layers. One for the white, so let's call this dodge and burn white. Okay. And let's make a new layer that I'm gonna call dodge and burn black. It's a good idea to name all your layers properly. And the way it works, and I just press X so that the foreground color now is black. And I'm going to paint in black here to bring a bit more details on the Arc de Triomphe. I'm going to bring some blacks here in the sky to give it more contrast. You know, maybe I'm going to put a bit black here, here. Yes, something like this. Maybe I'm going to darken here. And check it out, before, after. Okay, and you can put both of this layer, you select them, and you put them into a folder that you call Dodge and Burn. The reason you put it into a folder is that if you want to see the before and after the overall Dodge and Burn, you can just click on the folder. That's before, that's the after. See how I kind of shifted the color and gave them like more depths. Now you can go further. I can take back the white one, go back on my white, put foreground, maybe boost even the opacity of the brush, and you know, just some little touch here, make this a bit brighter, this a bit brighter, you know, this. I think Dodge and Burn works really good with black and white. I like when it's like a really nice contrast, something like that. And let's press X and let's add some black in the skies here. Even darken this even more. Okay, now that's too much. That's too much, so let's lower the opacity of the brush. Let's put it back to 10. But let's make this a bit darker. 20 was a bit... 20 works well on the white, but usually doesn't work well on the blacks, to be honest. Okay. Now check it out. Before the whole dungeon burn story, before. And you find that if the overall effect is too much, I think it's a bit too much, you can lower the opacity of the group. Or you can open up your group and let's say you like what the white is doing, but you find that the black is too strong. You can just lower the opacity of the blacks. It's, you know, it's a complete personal taste. Now I'm going to lower a bit the white also. But I kind of like what it does. So usually I try to not do like global contrast. Now on this photo I find that maybe a global contrast on the top of the dungeon bird could do it. So let's try to make a curve. You know, we take a curve and let's go for medium contrast, which is quite a strong curve. See what happens. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's a bit too much. So if you find it's a bit too much, it just lowers the opacity of that curve, you know. Okay, that's kind of cool. And now I want to do a vignette effect. I really want to do a vignette effect. So let's do Command Alt Shift E. So we have a layer. Take into account all we've done so far. Marvelous. We put this into a product mode, multiply mode, and take the rectangle marquee tool, and let's do something like this. Let's go into filter, into select, modified, feather, this new option of 500 radius, love that. Press delete, and check it out. Before the vignette, after vignette. Way too strong, but let's lower the opacity of the vignette. You know, I like when it's very contrasty on black and white. Something like this is pretty cool. Okay, so that's our black and white. That's our first example. Let's do another example. So let me save this first example into the final result folder. And as I said in the beginning, all these source files are available for you to download so you can train with them. Okay, so it's saving in the background so I can still work. Okay, now I'm going to close this window and go back into Bridge, and let's go for the second example. A house. This is a house that I shot for a movie production company because they are looking at doing a science fiction movie in this house. That's just for the anecdote. So let's open up the shadows, bring on the highlights, boost the clarity. I think that's going to work with this photo. I'm going to go for a black and white on this one. So let's do the whites. You know, find a white point. So I'm going to brighten up heavily this image because I believe the white point is pretty far. Okay, it's about here. And I'm going to do the black point, something like this. Okay, let's do what? Let's lower maybe the sky here with a filter. You know, gradient filter. Oh, okay, because the option, you see there was some temperature going on here, so I'm going to click on just minus exposure and put this at 0. Okay, now why is it not working? So let me erase this. Let's start again. Let's create a new I'm going to click on minus. It's going to put everything down to 0, and now it should work. Okay, so yeah, make sure you first, you know, click on one of the settings before you do the gradient filter itself. So let's boost the contrast in the sky and the clarity in the sky, and lower the exposure maybe a little bit, not too much, but I want this to be like a very dramatic photo. So this is before the gradient filter, this is after. It's a bit crazy, but I kind of like it. Maybe not that much exposure. Okay. So that's about all I'm going to do in Camera Raw 7. I'm going to open up the image. And now we're going to do several things using also new options. So let's do first the black and white conversion. So let's check out the colors in this photo. The reds, is there any red in the photo? Oh, there's a bit of red. Okay, maybe I'm going to darken the red. I like the idea that this is a bit grayish. Yellow. Yellow. I'm going to boost them up. The greens, I believe there is greens So let's raise the green. Cyan, not much cyan. Is there any blues in the sky? Yeah, there's a bit of blues in the sky. Okay, so let's lower the blues. Magenta, that's fine. Okay, so that's our first basic black and white conversion. Now, I don't like that the walls are not straight. So let's go into the this new filter in Photoshop CS6. Let's duplicate the layer and it's going to filter adaptive wide angle. Let's see if we can correct this. Now, when you do that, the black and white adjustment layer is not visible. That's why it's still in color. But when I'm going to click OK, it's going to go back into black and white. So I basically want this to be straight. Okay. So I'm going to tell this to be vertical. Okay. I want this to be straight. So vertical. Okay. The rest is pretty much fine. That was the main thing I was concerned about. Let's click on OK. Alright, so before and after. Now let's use the move tool and let's see here. I don't want it to be in center, so I think I'm gonna I prefer the trees on the left. So maybe I'm gonna do something like this and something like this. Maybe not as much. That's a good thing about this new crop tool, is that it's non-destructive, so I can change my mind at any time. Okay, I kind of like that. And now I'm going to do this dodge and burn technique I showed you before. So I'm going to call this directly white. But don't forget to put it in overlay mode. Make sure the white is in the background. With X you can go just toggle between the black and white. So let's put white here. I'll take a brush around 10%, that's cool. And I'm just going to add a bit of white in the sky to make them even more crazy. It's basically local contrast. I want this sky to be really I think it works well when you do black and white, to have some nice whites. Check this out, before and after. Kind of like it. Same thing, I'm going to add some white, not on the whole house, but just partially on the house, just to make the texture. You see, when something is completely evenly light, I think it's not good looking. The fact that it's not evenly light, it makes it more interesting. So let's do a black one. Okay, so I just call the slider black and put this into overlay mode. Okay, press X to go back here. And maybe darken a bit this part of the house, and this part of the house, just so that we don't have like an even, maybe I'm going to darken the grass here a little bit. Yeah, so we don't have an even lighting. Okay, that's the blacks and that's the whites. Okay, that's pretty much it. I don't even need to do another curve because I did all my contrast using this dodge and burn technique. And with this new Photoshop CS6 crop tool, I can at any time change my cropping, and it's non-destructive. As I move around, the whole photo appear. Maybe I'm going to leave it this way, just put it more like cinema type of look, something like this, at the end. Oh yeah, the problem is that I've got, you see here, as I did the black and whites, I have to maybe crop it down to here. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Okay, so that's my, oh yeah, you see here, what happens is that I think it's the white. You see how I did some whites here and not there? So if you have this problem because you changed the crop tool, just click on the white, take the eraser tool and erase here, the corner. And you can just go back onto the white, press X, and take back your brush, and paint in white here and maybe in white here. That was kind of sort of missing, Okay, so that's the white. If you think it's too much, you can just lower a bit the opacity as usual. I usually overdo an effect and then underdo it, and same thing with the blacks, but I think I'm going to leave it to 100%. Okay, I kind of like the final image. Yeah, I kind of like it. So that's black and white in Photoshop CS6, and using a variety of the new tools as we've gone over. Okay, see you in the next video.